Jonathan Lekkerimäki's ranking as the number one Canucks prospect begs the question of when we could see his NHL debut. And insider Craig Button speaks out on the possibility of Vancouver's latest prospect representing Team Canada at the World Juniors this December. We'll be breaking down all of that in this episode of Canucks Digest, but first, we know you guys are watching from all over the country and all over the world, so we have the best offer for you for the best protection. I'm going to let Mark take it away from here.
With the Vancouver Canucks adding multiple layers of defense this offseason, maybe it's time you guys start thinking about adding multiple layers of defense to your browsing as well. And that's why I want to let you guys know about NordVPN, which is the fastest VPN out there. A VPN or virtual private network encrypts your IP address, so when you are on public networks, you can create your own private network. This means you can enjoy watching Canucks Digest videos, watching the Vancouver Canucks, no matter if they're on a road trip in California or playing in Sweden. You can just enjoy watching hockey games on the go safely and securely using NordVPN and their virtual private network encryptions, so you can make your own private network on the go. Right now, if you go to nordvpn.com/Canucks, you can use this exclusive offer and start browsing online with your VPN. It's not only speed when using NordVPN, you can also use their Threat Protection Pro, which has you covered. When using the Threat Protection Pro, you can think of this as your Thatcher Demko of your computer, gloving down any unwanted threats coming your way. So why wait? Upgrade your browsing experience by checking out nordvpn.com/Canucks to use this exclusive code. NordVPN also offers a 30-day money-back guarantee if you don't enjoy their services, so go check out NordVPN. You can use this exclusive offer and never miss another Canucks highlight. Once again, check out nordvpn.com/Canucks, and I want to give a huge shout out to NordVPN for sponsoring this video.
Thanks for that, Mark. And with that, let's hop into the first topic of the day, which is Lekkerimäki looking poised for NHL debut. If you've been following us for quite some time, or even a short time, you would know that Lekkerimäki is a Canucks prospect that we are both very high on. Mark especially, because this is his guy. This is his favorite prospect, much like another one of the prospects that's one of my favorites later on in this video. But you guys definitely know all of this stuff. If you don't know, he is a 20-year-old Swedish right winger, 5'11", 172 pounds, under contract until the 2026-2027 season with the Canucks, and he is a heavy shooter, offensive forward, sniper, drafted 15th overall by the Vancouver Canucks in 2022. A long list of awards and accolades, many of which coming in the past year that we're going to get to in a second. But this is someone who is going to be very dangerous once he makes that jump to the NHL, especially when looking at his stats and the growth that he's had, particularly in the SHL with Arborough HK. In 46 games, he put up 31 points, 19 goals, 12 assists. He was a great presence on the ice. He played great with +6 rating, and on the international stage at the World Juniors, he did stun a lot of people with being the leading scorer in the tournament with 7 goals, then 3 assists for a total of 10 points, with many awards of those coming in that tournament. And looking at them, you have the SHL Best Junior from EliteProspects.com. You have the SHL Most Goals by a Junior, Most Points by a Junior, Arborough's Most Valuable Team Player, the Swedish Junior Hockey Player of the Year, and at the World Juniors, he made the All-Star team. He was the MVP of the tournament, and he took home the silver medal with his Swedish teammates. He is somebody that is definitely going to be dangerous when he makes it into the NHL. And he's someone that we are both been watching the development of him grow and grow and grow. We've seen it, and you guys have seen it as well with the videos we covered for it. This is somebody who definitely has been had a chance to play for the Canucks last season when they were going through all those injuries, and it was just next man up mentality. He was one of those guys that we were hoping was going to get the call up, but he didn't have enough experience really to warrant that call up. But I think after this season in Abbotsford, he will definitely warrant a call up like that eventually. And looking at a quote that even he acknowledges some of the things he needs to work on. There's still work to be done and weight needed, but the progress taken this season was paramount. And one-on-one battles on the boards and play around the net, I want to find the areas that I can shoot as I get the puck. So I think I need to move my feet to get to those areas. I want to be stronger without the puck and stronger defensively. I'll be taking away the body more and more. And this is really nice to hear, where he's not the biggest guy, but he knows he needs to beef up. He needs to work on his defensive game. And I don't doubt he's going to be able to refine those skills to not only be a heavy offensive threat, but also a defensive threat where he can be that right winger where he can ruffle some feathers and throw the body when he needs to. Much like Elias Pettersson, where we saw him kind of change the way he plays in the postseason, where especially in that final game 7 where he was throwing the body, he was laying hits. And I think we're going to see a player like that in Lekkerimäki, where he's not going to be afraid to throw the body and lay punishing hits when the moment warrants it. And he's going to make things happen, whether for his teammates or for himself, with that heavy shot that he has. and with the lethal power play ability he has. He could be great on the power play with igniting the lines like they needed to be, as we saw throughout the entire of last season and the postseason, where it really killed us not to capitalize on those power plays. So I think he would be someone that eventually, when the time comes, he will be very valuable asset on that power play. And as far as him starting for this season, you look at the depth chart right there. Obviously, Boeser, DeBrusk, Garland, and Sprong, Sherwood, those are the top guys. You do have Linus Karlsson and Klimovich, where Lekkerimäki could have a chance to compete with those guys should he make a nice splash in Abbotsford. And especially with a coach like Minnie Malhotra at the helm there, I think it puts Lekkerimäki in a great spot to excel and be great on that Abbotsford team. With that Abbotsford team, he didn't have a great shine in those 6 games that he had. He did put up 1 goal and 1 assist, but I think right now he is in a position to put himself in a much better spot for success on this Abbotsford team, where some guys did get NHL playing experience last season, and I think he does have a chance to warrant himself many of those chances heading into the season, especially if he has like 10 goals or something, or maybe even more by December or by the end of the AHL season. If he has a very productive season, I think we could see a lot of chances where he could find himself into this Vancouver Canucks lineup later on in the season, by the end of the season, and maybe into the postseason. Hopefully not in the postseason. I know he's a great player, but again, it's not that he's not great, it's that he might not be ready to make that jump. We saw a lot of the AHL guys who made that jump to the postseason, aside from Artur Shilov's, where they might not have been able to adapt to that postseason style of play like they might have wanted to. So I think putting him into the postseason is a very dangerous spot, but if it is that desperation, next man up mentality, throw him in there, see how he does. But as far as that's concerned, put him in the regular season, give him the opportunities like Arshdeep Bains got last season, where he has a fair amount of playing time and enough time to make us a little bit of a splash in the NHL, get some of that experience, bring it back to Abbotsford, and really set the AHL on fire so that he is able to make that jump to the NHL when he is ready. But another prospect that we're going to be covering that is going to make a splash in the NHL eventually as well, without a doubt, is the second topic of the day, and that is Craig Button speaking out on Anthony Romani for the World Junior Championship. So we see here on a quote from him on X or Twitter, whatever you want to call it these days. I'm not going to rule anybody out at this point in time. Romani was a very good player last season and was invited to the camp because he's a good player. This helps him build confidence, put yourself in the mix, and show you belong. That's his task for the next 3 or so months. And I think that's a fantastic look for Romani. We saw in the World Junior Showcase that he put up a goal and an assist. He made a splash there where he got an invitation to Team Canada's summer camp. So I don't doubt that he's going to make an impression there and try and make a spot for himself on this World Juniors roster come December. I think it'll be nice to see him in the holiday season, bringing goals, giving us all those presents, and helping Canada win a gold medal. And looking just at his basic info, he's a 19-year-old from Pickering, Ontario. He can play center and right wing. He's 6 foot, 183 pounds, so he is a bit bigger. He shoots right. He's a heavy shooter and a playmaker. That is something that cannot be denied. He was a round 6 draft pick by the Vancouver Canucks, 162nd overall this past season. And reading on the scouting report too as well, most of Romani's offense comes off the rush. He's an ice-stretching playmaker, hitting teammates with long bomb cross ice passes. This season, he carried the puck movement and creating offense with his weaving rushes, give and goes. Either way, he's constantly shifting the defense around with his east-west movement, creating space for him and his line mates to slip away from the defense. And when you look at his stats, that did not lie at all, especially when looking at his time in North Bay. He continued to jump in progression each season. 2021 and 2022, he only had 14 points, then jumped to 43, where he was draft eligible and he was overlooked. So he took that personally and said, all right, 43 points wasn't enough for you guys to look at me. How about 111, where he led the league in scoring and as far as goals and tied as far as was second in total points. And it was so great to see him do that on a team like North Bay, where he was up in Northern Ontario, making a splash down here where people were noticing him, but some people weren't. And mock drafts had him going way later than people thought, or maybe not at all, but he was one of these late round gems that when looking at the list, he was definitely somebody that I wanted, especially when looking at those numbers. You see that progression, how he made a splash like that and plays with that chip on his shoulder. That's definitely a guy you want on this Vancouver Canucks, where that has been their identity. We've talked about it a lot, especially recently, where people are counting out these Canucks teams and counting out these Canucks players as far as what they are capable and what they can do. And I think Romani is one of those players who embodies that spirit, where if that happens, he's going to take that as a chip on his shoulder and just go into it more hungry to score, more hungry to make a splash and impress people and just shut them up. Quite frankly, I think he has the power to do that. And I think Lekkerimäki also has that power to do that. I think these are two prospects that are going to show a lot of progression, a lot of growth over these next 2 seasons, where they're going to be in the NHL probably sooner than a lot of the other Canucks prospects. Melvin Fernstrom really is the only other one I can think of. Maybe Arshdeep Bains and Jet Wu, if Jet Wu can improve his skating a bit more. Arshdeep Bains was also fairly impressive in the time that he saw, so I think those guys will get opportunities before these two. But I don't doubt within the next 2 seasons, we're going to see them make more and more of an impact and an appearance on this Vancouver Canucks roster. But love to hear what you guys think. Let us know what you guys think down below as far as the growth of Lekkerimäki and Romani. When you guys think we'll see them on this Canucks roster? What do you guys think will happen there as far as the World Juniors for Romani? And with Lekkerimäki, will he appear, and how many games do you think for this Canucks season? We'd love to hear what you guys think. Let us know down in the comments down below. But that's going to take us to everyone's favorite topic, which is comment of the day. And we see here from Coyote Creek Band that Willander will easily become our top 3 D-man behind Hughes and Hronek. I predict he will take the spot Myers currently has when his contract runs out. And this isn't a bad guesstimation to have. This was from our last video where we covered Tom Willander, where he is making a lot of progress and is making a lot of movements to jump onto that Vancouver Canucks roster. He's another one of those prospects who will be in the NHL sooner than later. And I don't doubt that he could be one of those top 3 D-man for us when these Canucks D roster contracts do expire, and eventually it will be time to move on for them and move on to the future. I don't doubt that Willander will be along for that ride with Hughes and Hronek to do that. But let us know what you guys think down below. But that's going to do it for this episode of Canucks Digest. I've been your host, Griffin. Take care.